All right, so here's the review for your second quadratic equations review. On your test, remember, yes, we've covered square root method, we've covered completing the square, we've covered quadratic formula, but you still have all of your methods that you can utilize, including the calculator or the box, so solving by factoring. So whatever method you're most comfortable with, you are welcome to use. All right, so for this one, it wants us to use square root method. But on your calculator, on your test, you could just put this in your calculator. You could do left side y1, right side y2. I am going to review the processes because I do want to put the emphasis on the different types of methods. So to get rid of the 4, okay, you're going to divide by 4, divide by 4. So you get x plus 6 squared equals 64 divided by 4, 16. Then we need to get rid of the exponent. To get rid of the square, you square root, square root. The square root simply cancels out the squared. So x plus 6 equals, the square root of 16 is 4, but it's also negative 4. To get rid of the plus 6, you subtract 6, so x equals negative 2. Subtract 6, so x equals negative 10. So your solutions are negative 2 and negative 10. If I had done this in my calculator, in y1, I'd put 4 parentheses x plus 6 squared. In y2, I would put 64. Look for where they are the same. And there's 1 there at negative 2. And the other one is at negative 10. All right, use completing the square to rewrite it. Okay, so completing the square, minus 3, minus 3. So we get x squared plus 10x plus blank equals negative 3 plus blank. Then you cut it in half. So x plus half of 10 is 5, and you square it. 5 squared is 25. If 25 goes in this blank, 25 goes in this blank. So it equals 22. X plus 5 squared equals 22. There's your answer. Find the missing value of c. Okay, so it's the same thing that we did here. You have to cut it in half, so x minus 13, and then you square it. 13 squared is 169. That number is always going to be positive. All right, complete the square, then solve by the square root method. Okay, so the first thing is you minus the 23 minus the 23. So x squared minus 12x plus blank equals negative 23 plus blank. Then you cut it. So x minus 6 squared. 6 squared is 36. If 36 goes in this blank, 36 goes in this blank, so it equals 13. Square root, square root. So x minus 6 equals the square root of 13, but it also equals negative the square root of 13. To get rid of the minus 6, you add 6, add 6. You can't combine these, so you simply write it 6 plus the square root of 13. On this side, add 6, add 6. Can't combine them, so it's going to be 6 minus the square root of 13. Positive 6 plus positive 6 minus. Now, you can check this on your calculator as well. Okay, so I would put x squared minus 12x plus 23 in y1 and 0 in y2. Now, you're not going to see these nasty numbers on your table, but you can jump, second window, to whatever number you want. So if I want to jump to 6 plus the square root of 3, I can. Oh, square root of 13, sorry. Second graph. Yes, they are the same there. Okay, well, let's try the other one. Second window, 6 minus the square root of 13. Second graph. Yes, they're the same there. You'll notice if you jump to one of these, second window, 6 plus the square root of 59. No, they do not match there. So you can use your multiple choice answers to help you find the correct answer. All right, solve the quadratic equation by the square root method. So just like we did up on number 1, first you get rid of the 16, so divide by 16, divide by 16. So x squared equals 169 divided by 16. Oh, math, enter. So we're going to leave it 169 over 16 because it was a nasty decimal. To get rid of the squared, use square root, square root. We're going to square root the top and square root the bottom. So x equals positive or negative. The square root of 169, second square root of 169 is 13. So it's 13 over. The square root of 16 is 4. And again, you can check this on your calculator. In y1, I'm going to put 16x squared. In y2, I'm going to put 169. Second window, let's jump to negative 3. Nope, it's not that one. Second window, let's jump to 13 divided by 16. Nope, not that one. Second window, 13 divided by 4. Yep, they're exactly the same there. So using your calculator is a huge tip to help you check these answers. All right, determine the values of a, b, and c for the quadratic equation. Before you can find a, b, and c, it has to be equal to 0. This equals 3. So I'm going to subtract 3, subtract 3. So we get 4x squared minus 8x minus 3 equals 0. Your a is what's in front of the x squared. Your b is in front of the x. And your c is that numeral. So a is 4, b is negative 8, and c is negative 3. Okay, which of the following shows the quadratic formula being used to solve the quadratic equation? Okay, so first I have to know what my a, b, and c are. It's got to be equal to 0, so minus 5x minus 5x. So x squared minus 5x minus 1 equals 0. Remember, it goes in descending order. So your a value is 1, your b value is negative 5, and your c value is negative 1. Quadratic formula. X equals opposite b, so the opposite of a negative 5 is a positive 5. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. So we plug in that negative 5, minus 4a, so we put the 1, and then c, all over 2a. And then we can just match. So you've got the positive 5, that's why I knew it wasn't those, negative 5 squared, minus 4, a, and the c should be the negative 1, all over 2, and your a value is 1. So it's this answer. Use quadratic formula to find the solutions. Okay, before you can use quadratic formula, it has to be equal to 0. So plus 5x minus 12 minus 12. So you get x squared plus 5x minus 12 equals 0. So your a value is 1, your b value is 5, and your c value is negative 12. Okay, so x equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then I'm going to simplify. So we've got the negative 5, and I'm going to simplify what's underneath that radical. So we take 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 12. 73. All over 2. And now it wants the decimals, okay? So let's see. If I take negative 5 plus the square root of 73 divided by 2, I get x equals 1.77. Then I'm going to do negative 5 minus the square root of 73 divided by 2. I get x equals negative 6.77. Now, can you do this on your calculator as well? You betcha. In y1, I'm going to put x squared. In y2, negative 5x plus 12. Now, these are approximates, Okay, so second window, let's go to negative 4.9. Are those pretty close? No. Second window, negative 0.45. Are those pretty close? No. Second window, negative 8.54. Nope. And then lastly, second window, negative 6.77. 45.83, 45.85. That's pretty close. Let's check the other one. 1.77. 3.13, 3.15. Those are pretty darn close. So your calculator can do a lot of this test for you. All right, the equation h squared minus 3h equals 40 represents the area of a triangle where h is the height. What is a reasonable height in feet? I'm sorry, can you have negative 5 feet? Can you have negative 8 feet? So you know right away it's got to be one of these. It didn't tell me what method to use, so I'm going to use my calculator. I'm going to put this side in y1 and this side in y2. Instead of h, I'll use x, so x squared minus 3x, and in y2, I'm going to put 40. Those are nasty numbers, so let's see, let's jump to 8. Ah, they are both the same at 8. Now, if I was to do this by hand, okay, you could do it using factoring, or you could do completing the square. I wouldn't do completing the square because that's an odd number. So let's do factoring. So to solve by factoring, it has to be equal to 0. So h squared minus 3h minus 40 equals 0. And then you put it in the box. So in the first box, I'm going to put h squared. In the last box, I put negative 40. And I need the factors of negative 40 that add to give you negative 3. Remember to get your factors. Negative 40 divided by x, negative 40 divided by x plus x. We're looking for a negative 3. So it's 5 and negative 8. So 5h, negative 8h. H squared breaks into h and h. 5 and 40 are both divisible by 5. Right away, pull out the negative. So your factors are h minus 8, h plus 5 equals 0. Well, this says positive 8, because to get your solutions, once you have your factors, you set each factor equal to 0. And solve. So plus 8, h equals 8, minus 5, h equals negative 5. We only use the positive solution because you can't have a negative height. All right, which of the following is the same formula as that? Okay, so we're solving for r. So first we got to get rid of the pi. So you divide by pi, divide by pi. So r squared equals a divided by pi. To get rid of the squared, you square root. So r equals plus or minus, because anytime you square root, you have to take the positive and the negative. And then you just leave it the square root of a over pi. So right here. Okay. What are the solutions to where this graph equals negative 1? Okay, so you can use the graph. So on the y-axis, where does it equal negative 1? Right here and right here, so at 0 and negative 4. I don't see that anywhere, so let's use our calculator. 1/2 parentheses x plus 2 squared minus 3, and in y2, negative 1. So it is at 0. And is that negative 4? Yep, 0 and negative 4. Am I just missing it? So this should be 0. Okay, 12, simplify. Okay, so you're finding your twins. This can break into 4 and 3. 4 can break into 2 and 2. Here's your twins. One gets shot, one breaks out, and the 3 is left in jail. So there's your answer. Now on your test, you can check yourself by going to your home screen and typing in the square root of 12. And it's that nasty decimal. And let's try our answer choices. So 3 square root 2, nope, that's not the same. 4 the square root of 3, nope, that's not the same. 2 the square root of 3, those two decimals are exactly the same. All right, solve it using quadratic formula. Again, to have it with quadratic formula, it has to be equal to 0. So plus 7x plus 7x. So x squared plus 7x minus 2 equals 0. So your a value is 1, your b value is 7, and your c is negative 2. So x equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I know I can't sing. Sorry about you. All right, so it has to start with a negative 7, so it can't be b or d. And then let's simplify what's underneath that radical. So we get 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 2, 57. So it's going to be C. And again, you can check yourself. Left side y1, x squared minus 2, right side y2. And yes, these are nasty numbers, but you can still second window and get there. You just have to put the top in parentheses. Sorry, that messed up my parentheses. Okay, so if I jump right here, parentheses negative 7 plus the square root of 57, close parentheses, divided by 2. Negative 1.924, negative 1.924. They are exactly the same. You could also do negative 7 minus the square root of 57. Oh, I didn't put in parentheses. Negative 7 minus the square root of 57 divided by 2. 50.924, 50.924. Exactly the same. Which of the following is a solution? All right, so we could do completing the square, we could do the box, we could do lots of different methods. We could also just do our calculator.
Major Ewing is in the building. Could she report to the AT office? Major Ewing, report to the AT office.
Okay, I think I'm going to do completing the square. I'm going to divide these all by 8 first, because these are nasty numbers. So we get x squared plus 2x plus blank equals, if I do 42 divided by 8 and type it in my calculator, I get 21 over 4 plus blank. Then you cut it in half, so x plus 1 squared. 1 squared is 1, so it equals, so if I do 21 divided by 4 plus 1, math, enter, enter, it equals 25 over 4. I'm going to square root, so x plus 1 equals, you're square rooting the top and the bottom, so 5 over 2, and x plus 1 equals negative 5 over 2. To get rid of the plus 1, you minus 1, so x equals 5 over 2 minus 1. Math, enter, enter, is 3/2. Minus 1, x equals negative 7 over 2. So this one is your answer. If you're checking it on your calculator, in y1, 8x squared plus 16x. In y2, 42. And we can jump to negative 7 over 2. And they are both equal to 42 there. So yes, that is your answer. According to the graph, after how many seconds is the ball at a height of exactly 22.5 meters? So I'm going to go to 22.5, so it's right here. And it's hitting it at 1 and at 4.5. You've got to make sure that you include both times. According to the graph, what is the range of the situation? So guys, you can't have a negative height, so you can't go down this way, and you can't have a negative time, so you can't go down this way. So range, Dr. X, Y, range is talking about Y values. Those are all Y's, okay? And we also have robot, bottom to top. So the bottom of this graph is at 0, and the top of this graph is at 37.5. A rectangular poster has a length that is 4 inches shorter than 4 times its width. If the expression W times 4W minus 4 represents the area, what is the width of the poster whose area is 24 inches squared? So they're giving you this expression, W times 4W minus 4, and telling you it equals 24. And all it wants is the width. None of those are negative, so I can't eliminate anything. So let's use my calculator. So we get X times 4X minus 4, and then Y2, 24. I don't see it anywhere. Oh, because I'm at fractions. So let's check. Second window, let's go to 2. Nope, it's not there. Ooh, but now it is at 3. So there's your answer. Because on your table, at 3, they both equal 24. All right, the length of a garden is 4 less than its width. 4 less means minus 4. The area of the garden is 77. So this time they want you to write your own equation. Okay, so you're taking the width times the length, and it equals 77. X less has to be minus, so it's going to be this C. Solve for the variable. This is a throwback. Okay, you can do it in your calculator, left side Y1, right side Y2. But you can also do it by hand. You're distributing this 3/4. So you get 3/4 X minus 3/4 times 3 is 12/4 equals 18. To get rid of a minus 12/4, that's 9/4. I'm done. Sorry, that's what happens when I'm saying bye to students. Okay, so 3 times 3 is 9, so it's 9/4. Okay, to get rid of the minus 9/4, you add 9/4, add 9/4. So 3/4 X equals 18 plus 9/4. Math, enter, enter. So 81/4. And to get rid of a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 4/3. So X equals 81 divided by 4 times 4 divided by 3, 27. And you could do this in your calculator. In Y1, we put 3 divided by 4, X minus 3. In Y2, you put 18. Yep, and right there at 27, they're the same. All right, select the correct graph for the given inequality. So in case you can't see it, it's y is less than or equal to 7/3 x minus 2. If you remember Slim Shady, he looks like he's doing the right thing. He's got his eyebrows above his eyes and his mustache below his nose. This symbol matches the nose, so I know it has to be shaded below. Below, below, below. This line tells me it's a solid line, so it can't be this one. And then I just have to look at the slope and the y-intercept. Right here at -2, this is at -1. So right away I know it has to be A. If I was to continue graphing, we'd go up 7 and right 3. All right, another one. Y is greater than -2x minus 3. The y-intercept is -3. Oh, these are going by 2's. Okay, so that's -3. That's not. That's -3. That's not. So it's got to be C or B. And then it has to be a negative slope. So this is going down. This is going up. And according to this symbol, it's a greater than. It's shaded above. And because it doesn't have the line underneath, it's a dotted line. This time it gave it to us already graphed. Is 1, -3 a solution? 1, -3. It falls directly on the line and it's on a dotted line. So no, it is not a solution. Solutions are anything in the shaded area or on a solid line. Is -2, 1 a solution? -2, 1. Yes, that's in the shaded area. All right, solve the following inequality for slope-intercept form. And bring it over here. So 5x minus 2y less than 30. You isolate opposite sides, so minus 5x minus 5x. You write them side by side, and then divide everything by -2. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. When you divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality, so it becomes greater than. This is a -15. Negative and a negative is a positive 5/2 x. So it's a positive 5/2 x. It's got to be greater than, and then a -15. All right, so make sure you have all of your work done, and remember to use your calculator on your test.